This is just so comical. Yeah, good morning, 9 a.m. November 29th. Good morning, 9 a.m. 2023. I don't think you heard that audio confirmation because that should have been muted, so you didn't hear it. I heard it. Although, would you have heard it over the microphone? You might have. Oh, I got stuff to tell you is all. 12 people watching, it looks like. This is the second stream for Live Windows Training already today. Apparently, back here on the first stream over on monitor number 1, let's see, and turn on picture-in-picture there. You can see that there was a, how long was this? Like 16-second or something like that, of just a blank gray screen. What in the world was that? How did that happen? See how it was 12 seconds. Yeah. So right about that time, I was doing a test of the bit rate within OBS, and apparently it utilized my scheduled live stream to do that test. And I didn't even realize that that had happened until I saw this chat comment from Ran Israel saying the stream ended before it started. So I went to look at my scheduled streams and there were none there. So I had to reschedule it. Do I have Big Beast Build fixed? Well, I'm glad you asked that question, but actually nobody asked that question, did you? Hang on a moment. So in the chat right now, we have, is this the real 338 or an imposter? Inquiring mind wants to know. It is real. Ran Israel, hi in chat. 15-second stream had to be a record with no video and no audio. Brian Turan, hold my beer. What beer? I see an empty glass. We heard it, confused Doug. So you did hear the audio confirmation because my headset's not working. I have it on. It's turned on, but the sound came over the speakers because I don't have that fixed yet. But I think I have the crashes fixed. I think I do. I've told you that before. I think my 5700G MSI B550 system may be more stable after doing the following after Windows updates. Install chipset drivers from AMD site, run AMD driver cleanup utility, reinstall Adrenaline driver using the driver only, that not the application software that probably comes with that, using drop-down menu, removed Logitech mouse software. She had restored the image backup from her previous setup, which she's replaced the motherboard since then. Actually, it's probably the same drive. So did you actually restore an image, or is it just still on the same drive? Greg's seen that stream. I was present for that stream. I thought my internet crashed again, or you thought my computer crashed again, probably. Speedy says, hi, Doug, in chat. Okay. So, Doug, what do you know? I really didn't set this up very well to demonstrate, but I do think I have a fix. Thank you, Wintermute, for your interactions with me through email yesterday. Wintermute took the crash dump files and did some evaluation of those. And I think yesterday I had told the audience that I was suspecting a hardware problem because of how there were so many different problems happening and so many different symptoms that would happen. Oh, I see it. OBS is giving me an error message. YouTube is not what? YouTube is not what? YouTube is not Let's get receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Well, I took the bit rate that OBS recommended. We discovered this morning that the bit rate in Fortnite was too low. OBS was complaining about being too low. So now I just had it measure what bit rate I should have and set it as such, and now it's complaining again. Ay caramba. Fix one thing and you got more other problems. Nicholas Hooks. I saw Nicholas Hooks show up on the Ken Stout show last night. That was great. Ran Israel, Danielle, and I think he's also on my Fortnite channel. Did you have to reactivate Windows? Probably. Yesterday, Carrie said that you would fix the problem in your own way. Zvi to me. Yesterday, Carrie said that you would fix the problem in your own way. Actually, last night when I went to bed, I was thinking that I was going to be calling Carrie, because at that point in time, I was suspecting a CPU problem. I don't believe at this point it's a CPU problem, but you'll understand why in a little bit. Ran Israel, there was a short video stutter a while back, but it seems okay now. It took a bit to find your new URL. I'm here after watching the beginning. Yeah, the new URL only came up like 2 or 3 minutes before the show started. Daniel says, let's see. The changes referenced were done after restoring an image. Did not have to reactivate Windows. My tracker software PDF editor had me reactivate. Not sure if that used up the tracker license. So my question there is, why did you have to restore an image if you were just replacing the motherboard? Did you actually replace your storage drive as well at the same time? That's kind of weird what I'm looking at over here. All right, now come on, Doug, get to the story. What happened with Big Beast Build? I'm trying to bring up my iCloud photos. Let's see, what do I want to show here? Yeah, I've got some things that I tested yesterday. I used FurMonk GPU stress test, and here's where it ran the stress test, and I actually live streamed that stress test yesterday to an unlisted live stream. So I want to come over here to my live streams and see down here, FurMonk test. It ran for almost 2 hours and did not glitch at all. So that was testing the graphics card. It went fine. Then Intel Processor Diagnostics tool, I ran that, and that one I think did a blue screen of death towards the end of that 7 minutes. And then I ran it again and it did not blue screen. So I got through the FurMonk test for the graphics, and here you see the blue screen images. And then over here, this would have been, I think, the, which one is that? Well, it was just that's just showing that I was doing logging of the hardware info. So here was Prime 95, downloading it. And then here's starting Prime 95 and launching it there. And I have my 2 different Windows operating systems. The Volume 7 is the bloated Big Beast build. Volume 9 is the slim Big Beast build, where I did a fresh install of Windows. I'm going to mute my mic for a moment. Unmuted. Go back here and make sure I haven't been muted this whole time. Nope. Okay, so then the next picture, what I got, I'm launching Prime 95. This one goes for 1 minute, so I'll go ahead and play this one. I'm going to mute the audio on that. There's no point in seeing that. That's a little blurry. See what happens if I make it bigger. So here's Prime 95 running, and it is still going. This video is 1 minute, 22 seconds long. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? 25 seconds into it, 26 seconds into it. That's so blurry. Why is that so blurry? And then I'm showing here that it's locked up. The mouse is not moving. I don't get a Windows button response. We're going to let this go a little bit longer. because I think it does something else. It's locked up. Oh, okay. So here I go ahead and power it off. And it still didn't power off by just press and release the button. There, I'm trying some of the, Control Alt Delete is what that was. So I'm just showing there's no response. And I didn't think there was going to be any response to it, but I let it go. And then holding down the power button. I'd forgotten completely about that version of the video. And it's starting up again, so I'm going to go ahead to the next recording that I have. It's here. Here's a 28-second video. Let's see what we get there. Yeah, and this is going back into Prime 95 again. I'll mute that. Yep, there's the blue screen. Blue screen of death. And it did that over and over and over. Prime 95 is giving me consistent blue screen of death. So I'm thinking, oh no, do I have a CPU problem? Am I going to need to get in contact with Kerry Holzman and take his guidance and advice about what to do with that? Well, because of the way that I'm saying this, you probably got the idea already that no, that's not the case. Let's see, what do we got here? Prime 95. When is this one? This one was at 6:10 p.m. last night. So I think this one's going to blue screen again. And it just did that over and over and over. So when you're having a blue screen of death, we commonly will say it's software or hardware. But what we often forget to talk about is configuration. Could be software configuration, could be hardware configuration. So let's move on without, well, how about if I skip through to this to see, didn't this come up? I thought this was coming up with a blue screen. I guess it was just a lockup. At some point I thought they were coming up with consistent blue screens, one after the other. See what this one is. This is the 28th yesterday also. Yep, there's a blue screen of death. Okay, now let's get on to the fix. I think when I went to bed last night, I was still thinking that this is going to be a Kerry Holzman referral. Another blue screen, that was this morning. So I tested again this morning. That was at 6:07 a.m. And now what I went into next. This is a 2-second video. I think that was an accidental video. I don't think that shows anything. No, that was accidental. Let's get on to here. Let's see, I'm showing, oh, Baby Beast. Yeah, we don't need to watch this. I just ran the Prime 95 on Baby Beast to show how the test is supposed to run. Let's come over here to this 5-minute video, and what we're going to do is get into BIOS. Here's BIOS. Here I'm loading optimized defaults. Now before I went into optimized defaults, I looked at what the settings are. I'm going back to the beginning here, and basically what I think happened is it's a PEBCAC, P-E-B-C-A-K, or a P-E-B-K-A-C. Either way is the same thing, I think. Surprised that's so blurry. Notice these 4200 megahertz in here. And somewhere in here I show that XMP is disabled. So there was some form of overclocking going on. And what I wound up doing was resetting to default BIOS settings. Yeah, here, load optimized defaults. Restarted the computer and ran Prime 95. There's that one's, oh, I messed up on the recording of this. I know I did. It's only 11 seconds long, but bottom line is I started Prime 95 and walked away from the computer, and it ran for about 20 minutes with no trouble. It looks like this one's going about 9 minutes. So I think what we had is PEBCAC. Problem exists between keyboard and chair because somewhere along the line, I was tinkering around with overclocking, and I probably didn't even use Prime 95 to test it back then. So was all this trouble just because I had messed around? But XMP was not enabled. And I see Greg M asking that. And I thought, I'm not an expert in this area, but I thought if you don't have XMP enabled, I didn't think you're getting overclocking. I thought you had to have XMP enabled to have overclocking. I probably need to go back and look closer at that video if that is confirmed. I got something going on a little bit weird here in OBS, and I'm not keeping up with my stream very well. Hang on. All right. Ran Israel, another stutter during scene change. I noticed the same stutter, only momentary. Here's Costanza. Here's a tip for everyone. If you ever have a device with a USB-C port that is no longer connecting USB-C cables correctly, it probably is full of dust, lint. Scrape out with a toothpick. Fix my iPhone. Thank you. Danielle, I had messed things up somehow during the weekend when experimenting with the old motherboard and additional installation. Administrator error. PEBCAC. We are on the same page. Hold my beer, Danielle. I guess that's why she had to do the restore operation. Ken de Costanza, great tip. I have to clean the iPhones all the time due to that issue. Costanza to Ken, this is the first time I had to do that. I realized after the fact I had seen a Paul's Hardware video about that. Possibly a key problem from Londog to responding to who? What key problem? I don't know. Ken to Costanza, it's amazing how much is in there. You could grow crops. Londog Prime 95 or any of those test programs, it's only thing running. Prime 95 or any of those test programs, if it's the only thing running, they can help to exclude the difference between external hardware running, like OBS and other things. Nicholas, I'm eating with Watch You Live, while watching you live. Londog, and more directly, what's going on with the machine itself and not other things running in the background. Yeah, well, some of those tests, I was actually live streaming them to unlisted live stream. So that kind of violates that graphics test. It was live streaming to YouTube. Costanza the Mage, I kept scraping and scraping for about half an hour until finally the cable was able to snap in like normal. I used a dental toothpick. Danielle, I find it all too easy for me to screw things up with multiple devices, adding, removing drives. Miss Seda, where you could just pull the connector off easily to be sure. Yeah. Alice says, Kerry mentioned on me on his show yesterday. Was he aware of the struggles that I've been having? Is that what he mentioned? Or did someone in chat tell him that I was having troubles? Let's see, that was from Alice. Did she give me an update on that? Not yet. Yes, Doug, since it does blue screen running the test program, then you obviously would check your configuration. I mean, overall computer seems to be running just fine until it glitches. Problem between keyboard and chair. So you did not have XP enabled at all. No. And yet those clock times for the CPU, I believe, are too high. XMP is OC for RAM specifically. Overclocking for RAM specifically. Yeah, that was kind of on my mind that was a RAM thing, but then I thought I recall that XMP is needed for overclocking, but probably what I didn't have locked in my mind is it's overclocking for RAM. but the processor can be overclocked aside from that. And it could be that when I was messing around with overclocking, since I don't really understand it very well, is that when I finished my experimenting, I disabled XMP and figured that that brings everything back to normal, to not overclocked. That very well could have been. XMP is to have the memory run at its stated speed on the memory stick. Oh, okay, yeah, I recall that. When let's see, there's something about dual. Isn't that what the dual mode is? Has to do with not dual channels. Oh, the acronym for the memory itself includes the word dual. And you don't actually get the speed that you purchased unless you turn XMP on. So I'm probably safe to have XMP on, just don't overclock the CPU unless I test it. You may have inadvertently set the base clock for RAM incorrectly. I doubt Carrie put in a base clock RAM type that was 4800. I know I have messed around with those settings. Not required for PC overclock. CPU overclock, I meant. Okay, that makes sense. So XMP is not required for CPU overclock. I get that now. Selden Ball. Remember, I've told you all along, I'm not a custom builder. I can do hardware stuff when I need to, but mostly what I do is replace power supply on a factory manufactured computer. Now, I started my business building computers. That was the beginning of my business. But back then, we were building what we called PC clones. We originally called them IBM clones. And then that didn't make sense because the personal computers weren't just IBM at that point. So we started calling them PC clones. We'd buy the components from a local supplier. And I'm talking about 1989 when I was first doing that for another company before I started my business. Sellenball, my understanding that XMP is a form of overclocking, but only for memory accesses. Other types of overclocking affect internal CPU clocks. One or the other can be used without the other type. Yeah, so they're independent of each other. One dog to Greg, isn't XMP more accurately described as the manufacturer has tested the RAM and it's capable of running at a higher speed over the default clock speed? That sounds likely, and it sounds like the speed of the memory that you purchase, the advertised rate. In order to get that, you have to have XMP turned on. I think I'm right understanding that, correct? RAM chips will always work at the base clock, but they will test them and see how fast they will go and be stable, and then they'll label them with that speed. Daniel Emberley, while sleep browsing in the middle of the night, I saw a video where a guy reviewed a number of Windows Update settings, stop Windows from mucking around with the graphics drivers after NVIDIA driver update. Reviewed a number of Windows Update settings to stop Windows from mucking about with graphics drivers after NVIDIA driver update. Okay, that makes sense. We don't want Windows to be installing video drivers beyond NVIDIA. Prefer NVIDIA's to control those drivers. I also believe they put in software in the RAM so the XMP settings can be read by the machine. Software in the RAM so the XMP settings can be read by the machine. Oh, okay. Well, that's software. Maybe firmware? Maybe some kind of read-only capacity so that the memory chip can communicate to the computer what it is. In order to get the memory rated at 3200 megabytes transfers per second, you have to enable XMP, otherwise it defaults down to its default speed. William Dawson, possible the issue with Baby Beast overclocking can cause problem you would never see normally. I don't know if he meant Baby Beast there. Lowercase b's is Baby Beast. Uppercase b's is Big Beast. Possible the issue with Beast overclocking can cause problem you would never see normally. Well, while I apparently had the CPU overclocked, it was only occasionally causing a problem. And there would be times when I would get multiple. Oh, somebody asked this yesterday in yesterday's chat. How did they verb it? How did they call it? Oh, they asked if it's been happening more frequently. And my response to that, if you take a die, one cube of a pair of dice, a die, and roll it, are you going to get sixes more frequently than you used to? Well, you could get 6 sixes in a row, and then you might go 12 rolls without getting a 6. So it was that kind of random where Big Beast Build would crash multiple days in a row, and then it would go several days without crashes because it was just random. And it wasn't reproducible on demand. When I discovered that Prime 95 was consistently either locking up or blue screening within seconds of starting it, I was excited because now I've got a definite, repeatable symptom. Okay, now what to do with it? Well, pretty much right away, I was thinking it was a CPU problem, which indeed it was, but not a defective CPU. It was an incorrectly configured CPU due to PEBCAC. Okay, cute. All right, I'll give this story. Every time I say PEBCAC or come across PEBCAC, it has an extra level of meaning to me because it starts with PEB. PEB is my mother's initials. Pearl Eileen Betts. She went by Eileen. So every time I come across that, I'm reminiscent of my mother. I solved problem, let's see, I'm way behind. I solved the problem with magnetic charging cable. James Disher. Let's see, what problem was James referring to? Oh, he's only in there once. I don't know what problem. Oh, he solved the problem of the clogged charging port on his phone, I guess. Alice, no, another user said they enjoyed your show. No, another user said that, on Carrie's stream. So he wasn't aware. Oh, okay, so a user said somebody in the chat room said they enjoyed my show, and that caused Carrie to mention it. Well, thank you. Thank you, Carrie. Carrie may not even be aware of the troubles that I've been having with Big Beast Build recently. And I'm sure he'll probably think, well, Doug, why didn't you call me? No, he won't be thinking that anyway, because he said, well, actually somebody said that he said I would fix it in my own way. And yes, that's right. We are highly unlikely to call each other when we're having troubles, unless it's in the other person's field of specialty. When I got to the point where I was thinking it's a CPU, I wasn't about to buy a replacement CPU without talking to Carrie first. And I was thinking, what would Carrie say? Well, that was probably one of my reasons for questioning, wait a minute, maybe it's not a defective CPU. Maybe there's something about configuration. Because I figured, if I call Carrie and say, hey, Carrie, I think the CPU is bad. I wouldn't say be that forward with it. But I'm sure he would respond with ways to test it and check on configuration, because he's been down that road many more times than I have. And let's see, we've done that. You may have inadvertently, I was going back to see, where was I at? No. I was at somebody who just put in a first comment. James Disher. That's the one I was looking at. Yeah, he said they enjoyed the show. Daniel Emberley, not sure if I could easily find it again, but it would seem auto updates can mess things up after GPU manufacturers good GPU drivers. Okay, so that's about, let's go into update settings, Windows key, and then update settings. And I know there's ways to prevent certain updates using a registry, but I think in advanced options, Let's see, configured update policies. How about that? No policies have been configured yet. Delivery optimization, that's bandwidth, feature quality, and driver updates. This is optional updates. That's not going to turn something off. I looked at this yesterday. There were no optional updates yesterday. Oh, look at that. That might fix my Bluetooth. I looked for optional updates yesterday. It was not here. So maybe is that a new? And that doesn't indicate a date to it in any way. Somebody tell me in chat where to prevent certain updates. Receive updates for other Microsoft products. Download updates, notify. No, I don't know where that is. I'm going to move on. I'm going to go back to chat. John says, I am guilty. Oh, are you the one that said in Carrie's chat that you enjoyed my show? Thank you, John. Very kind of you to do that. Alice says, Carrie said he respected you. Thank you for that comment. And you too, Carrie, of course. We have high respect for each other. Now, we don't expect each other to know everything either. And we both are very free to admit there's a lot that we don't know. We know our area of expertise pretty good. Jeff's video switched to 144 by itself. Nicholas, it cut out for me just now. I'm going to take a look at my OBS and see what it's saying. It's saying over 10,000 kilobits per second. Drop frames says 0.3%, 333 dropped frames. Dual rate, Ran Israel, thank you. Dual rate, DDR. No, it always works this way, even without XMP. Oh, I know what it was. There's a certain place where you can get a report about your memory speed in one of the diagnostic softwares, and it will show the original non-doubled rate. And in that particular software, you have to double that number to see the number that it's actually rated for. There's some software, was it CPU-Z maybe? I think it's CPU-Z, shows the memory rate at its base rate without the dual. And that is what I was thinking about. So thank you, Ran. I referred RAM speed to the base clock, which is typically 3200 to 3600. Then you turn on XMP, and that will be the speed printed on the package, which is just a little bit higher, a few hundred higher maybe. Sounds to me like somehow the base clock speed in BIOS was incorrect. That probably would have been due to my messing around with it. Not dual. Correction, dual equals greater than double for DDR. Yeah, it's double rate. Yeah, they use the word dual. I think DDR stands for dual data rate, but it really means double. I don't think the acronym actually uses the word double, does it? But it should. Interesting. Double data rate. I'm old enough to remember when you saw IBM compatible on everything. Yeah, glitching. Hey, Doug, your stream is buffering. I've been running XMP with my DDR4 3200 RAM since I built it after testing it at the default speed. Okay. So my XMP is currently disabled, so I should enable it and then run that memory test software. I don't think I got around to doing a memory test. Prime 95, see, I was thinking Prime 95 tests memory, but I guess no, it tests the CPU. Let's see, we're over time. What can I do to speed this up? Yeah, CPU-Z. Double data rate, dual channel double data rate. Okay, so it is the word double. Scan through this a little bit, get out of here. I'll read these over more closely after we finish. Greg to me, hello Doug and Chad, just received my new stove this morning. Yes, the user also said problems with, Carrie was informed about troubles with Big Beast. Let's see, that's conversations between people. This is bouncing all around on me. It's bouncing around on you too. Yeah, here I'm gonna hit my scroll wheel one click. I'll tell you when I hit it, and there's a delay before it actually scrolls. On 0, I'll roll it one click. 3, 2, 1, 0. Now, nope, it's gone right away now. Okay, let's shut it. Let's shut this down. There's my new email address display. I don't have any redirect set up. So have a great day, everybody. You've got just a little bit of time that you can put in a link to whatever the show you want to promote, whether it's your own or somebody else's. Have a great day. I'll see you later. Goodbye.